Key sticking points remain at the International Climate Change Conference in Copenhagen, including how to verify cuts in greenhouse gas emissions in China and other developing nations. The United States and other wealthy countries are pushing for a way to verify the reductions. China wants to monitor its own compliance, and it argues that rich nations have an obligation to provide even more financial help to emerging economies. Yvo De Boer is the executive secretary of the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change. He said delegates are at a very distinct and important moment with an enormous amount of work still ahead.
Namely, ambitious emission reduction targets, significant engagement by developing countries, and immediate and robust finance to help developing countries adapt to the impacts of climate change.
China is the world's largest developing country. It accuses developed nations of backing away from promises to help poor nations combat climate change. Beijing considers financial support a key condition for success at the Copenhagen talks. UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon issued this warning.
And this is a time to stop pointing finger. And this is a time to start looking in the mirror and offering what they can do more, both the developed and developing countries.
Mr. Ban said he remains cautiously optimistic that negotiators will make progress, but added,
"This will be a serious mistake on the part of the negotiators and leaders if they go back empty-handed."
Last week, the European Union agreed to set aside $3.6 billion annually in short-term climate financing between 2010 and 2012 for developing nations. But wealthy nations outside the EU have not followed suit. Experts say more than $100 billion in annual aid will be needed by 2020. Raffaele, VOA News.